Dark Shadows, number 11-66. VTR date 6/27/66. Air date 7/11/66. Take one.
My name is Victoria Winters. Collinwood sits, as it has for almost 130 years, in brooding isolation on the crest of its hill. The secrets of the past have not yet been opened to me, but I've come this far, and I must wait. It's a strange home for me, but even stranger for those who've spent their lives within its walls.
Good to see you again, Mrs. Stoddard.
Mr. Devlin was kind enough to drive me here. The least we can do is ask him in for a drink.
Where did you meet Mr. Devlin?
In my hotel room.
Oh, it was all very proper, Mother. I called him on the house phone and invited myself up. And he's really not a monster at all.
What are you after, Burke?
After? Mrs. Stoddard, all I did was drive your daughter home and drop in to say hello.
Would you like to go into the drawing room?
Thank you.
Let me take your coat.
I'd like you to wait out here.
Oh, no. I wouldn't miss this for the world.
I've never forgotten this room.
Gloomy, isn't it?
How can you say that? With all your ancestors looking down from the walls at you.
They're just as gloomy.
It sounds like you didn't teach your daughter the proper respect for the people who founded her fortune.
Maybe so. I understand you've made your fortune, Burke.
Well, I have more money than I did when I left Collinsport, if that's what you mean. If I had a quarter, I'd have more than I had then.
Did business bring you back here?
No, ma'am.
He wanted to see his old hometown, Mother.
That's right, Mrs. Stoddard. 10 years, long time. You get kind of homesick.
I thought you always hated Collinsport.
I did. But, like I said, 10 years. Everything begins to seem a little bit rosier. You watch. You go away for a while. This room won't seem quite so gloomy.
I'm willing to try that.
How's Roger?
My brother's very well, thank you.
Carolyn's been telling me he thinks I came back to make trouble for him.
Carolyn talks too much.
Oh, that's ridiculous, Mother. After all the fuss, I thought the least I could do was go to see Mr. Devlin and try to smooth things over.
Darling, you know nothing about it.
But what difference does it make? Mr. Devlin's only here for a short visit. I know, because he has this big
Just a
business.
minute. Remember your promise.
I won't say anything about it. But he's leaving in 2 days. I know it for a fact.
Is that true?
You're right, Mrs. Stoddard. Your daughter does talk too much. All I can say is I wanted to see some friends, and here I am. Soon I'll be gone.
But not forgotten. Mother, did you know Mr. Devlin's been all over the world?
I don't think your mother's interested in that.
Oh, but I am. I'm interested in everything you've done and everything you're going to do. Carolyn, you fix Mr. Devlin a drink.
Drink, drink, my kingdom for a drink. That's a paraphrase on a famous author. The name of William Shakespeare. Is my daughter on duty, Mr. Wells?
She's taking a break.
Oh.
But if she were, Mr. Evans, I wouldn't advise you seeing her right now.
What's the matter? I don't look well? My hair's not combed?
Your hair is fine. It's your breath.
Remind me you'll resent that, Mr. Wells. Would you tell my daughter I'll be at the bar?
Mr. Evans, wait.
Now, look, if it's your intention to delay me for the purpose of further insult...
My relief will be here in just a minute. I was going to go and have a cup of coffee. Why don't you join me?
Well, coffee was not what I had in mind.
Well, it's what you ought to have. Black coffee. Lots of it.
A sober man, Mr. Wells, is an unhappy man. That's the Sam Evans motto, free of charge.
Motto's no use to Maggie. Now, Mr. Evans, you know how Maggie'd feel if she saw you like this.
She'd feel no differently. No differently.
We can go into the restaurant. If she's not there, of course, we can have some coffee. And by the time Maggie comes
You're
back...
a nuisance, Mr. Wells. Now, if you'll please excuse me.
I have something interesting to talk to you about.
Look, you can keep your hotel gossip to your flunkies.
It's an old friend of yours it's about.
I have no friends, old or new.
How about Burke Devlin?
Sit, Burke Devlin.
Want to have that coffee? You work in this place, you help yourself.
Don't tell me about your problems. Just tell me about Burke Devlin.
You want some more coffee, don't you?
No, I just want to hear about Burke Devlin.
You want some more coffee. You ever see those coffee commercials that they have on the TV? Straight from the bean to you. I wonder who writes that junk.
And I wonder when you're going to stop talking and say something.
Drink up, Mr. Evans.
Look, I've already had 2 cups already. You want me to drown?
I want you to be nice and calm and sober when Maggie comes back.
All right, all right. I've heard that song before. Yeah. Now tell me about Burke Devlin.
He had a visitor this afternoon. Another sip. Carolyn started.
Who did you say?
Carolyn started from the house up on the hill.
I know where she's from.
She came by here, she called him on the house phone, and she went right on up. Kind of crazy, isn't it? I mean, what went on between Burke Devlin and those people?
Well, did they have an appointment? I mean, well, did he expect her?
All I know is that she didn't call before she come, not ahead of time, except on the house phone.
Well, how long she
Matter
stayed?
of fact, he hasn't had a phone call since he's been here.
Well, tell me, how long she stayed?
We were talking about that this morning. His Burke comes back to his own town after all these years, and not one single person calls him, not one.
I asked you how long she stayed.
Oh, hour and a half.
And then what?
They left.
They? Together?
Yep. More coffee.
Do you have any idea where they were going?
Well, I can make a guess. When they left, they were very friendly, arm in arm, talking and laughing like Burke was the best friend she ever had. I never thought Burke Devlin would be friends with any members of that family.
He wouldn't.
Oh, well, then why would Miss Stoddard invite him to a house?
You're joking with me.
Well, that's what I figured. He said he was taking her to his car, and I figured he was going to drive her home.
You figured wrong, Mr. Wells. Miss Stoddard may be no more than a child. She knows what the best interest of her family lies.
Well, Burke sure was friendly. That's all I know.
Your advantages, Mr. Wells, making your enemy think he has nothing to fear.
Just a visit, Mrs. Stoddard. Like your daughter said, I'm only here for a visit.
So you said. Would you like another drink?
Yes, if it's no trouble.
No trouble at all. Carolyn, come along and help me get the ice. Excuse us, Burke. Well, come along, dear.
Really, Mother, you didn't have to be so obvious about it.
That was all out about 2 days.
Well, I promised not to tell, but when I was in his hotel room, I saw this paper. It was about a business deal in Venezuela. It was a lot of money, but he had to be there in a day or two to get it.
Well, how do you know I didn't put the paper there just so you could see it?
Oh, I thought about that. But then he had this phone call. Mother, he's only there for a short visit, and that's all.
What phone call?
Well, while I was in the hotel room, he had a telephone call from Venezuela about this same business deal. And he said he'd probably be leaving in a day or two. Oh, Mother, don't tell him I told you. He'd be furious.
Well, go get the drink, but take your time.
Everything's gonna be all right, Mother. I'm sure of it.
There's nothing I'd rather believe.
Will you please stop following me around, Mr. Wells?
Maggie'll be here any minute now. Don't go getting any more to drink.
You think I'd let you fill me full of that black poison and then spoil it all with a lovely drink of whiskey? It's not a bad idea. I have more important things to do. You got a dime, Mr. Wells?
What?
A dime. I don't have any change. I want to make a phone call.
Oh, sure.
Fine, don't worry. I'll pay you back.
It's all right. You'll come right back to the restaurant, won't you?
Scout Center.
Hello?
Hello. I wonder if I could talk to Mr. Collins.
He's not in the house at the moment. Who's calling, please?
Or could you tell me where he could be reached, please?
Well, he's somewhere on the grounds. Who is this?
I was wondering if you deserted me. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll be with you in a moment, Burke. I can have him call you back. Hello.
Hang up on you?
Seems that way.
I've been admiring the paintings. That one's Jeremiah, isn't it?
Yes.
He must have been quite a man to build this house.
Burke, I used to like you very much.
And I was always fond of you, Mrs. Stoddard.
The way things happened, it was unfortunate.
I told your daughter, and I've told you, and I meant it. Whatever happened 10 years ago is past history. I only want to think about the future. What do you think it would cost Jeremiah if he decided to build this place today?
Why do you ask?
Oh, I was just wondering what you would expect if you decided to sell. 200,000? $250,000?
It's not for sale.
In my experience, Mrs. Stoddard, everything is for sale. Where is Roger, by the way? One of my main reasons for coming up here today was to see him.
Don't you think it would be better if you didn't?
But we were always such close friends, Mrs. Stoddard.
I know that.
And if he thinks that I've come here to work out some kind of revenge, I want to tell him to his face that it isn't true. Doesn't that sound reasonable enough?
Back, Mr. Wells?
No. That sure was a long phone call.
I went to the bar. Here's your dime.
But you promised that you wouldn't.
The promises, Mr. Wells, are sometimes made to be broken. I needed a drink. In fact, I need many more.
Is there anything I can do?
You're really a very kind man, Mr. Wells, which I am not.
That's not true. You drink a little too much, maybe, but I've always liked you. And you know how fond I am of your daughter.
Maggie. Dear Maggie. Oh, I'm a scoundrel, Mr. Wells. I've created my own hell.
I just don't understand.
It's fear, Mr. Wells. Fear that makes a man do those terrible things. He was there. I heard his name.
Who are you talking about, Burke?
The Trojan horse. The smiling gift rolled into the stronghold and waiting to spread its fear. And I will be the first victim of that fear.
Why you? I mean, isn't there anything you can do?
It's too late. That's the torment. What there was to do, it's too late to do. Now all I can do is wait. Run.
But you can't go far enough, that's the thing. As many places as you run to, you can never get away from what you are.
But you tried, is that it?
Growing up in that shack near the water, watching my father scrounge for work, repairing lobster pots, or whatever he could get. I wanted to move, and fast. But instead, I got stopped cold. It wasn't any fun, I can tell you that. Sitting still in one place for 5 years, hearing the world spin for everyone else, knowing I could never be part of it, waiting.
It must have been terrible for you.
You ought to know how it felt.
Me?
Well, you're still here, aren't you? Yes, you're still here.
Yes.
How long has it been now since you've been off this hill? 18 years, isn't it?
Yes, but...
Well, we all have our prisons, Mrs. Stoddard. That's all I want to say. Some have bars, like mine did. But the real prisons, the ones you can never escape from, are in here.
That's true. You've become something of a philosopher since the last time we talked.
Well, I've been a lot of places since then, Mrs. Stoddard. Believe me, when I was released from that prison, it was as if coiled wire had been triggered. I wanted to run and look and get things done. I did. And I'm wealthy now. And I picked up a little more understanding along the way.
I wish I could believe that.
Mrs. Stoddard, we've all lived with what happened to me. You, me, Roger. For 10 years, we've lived with it. And there's nothing I can do to him, or you, or anyone else, for that matter, that could add up to as much as the pain we've all lived with. So I decided to forget it. It's over. The world is still spinning, but I'm in it now. And that's all that matters to me.
1 bucket of ice coming up. Get everything squared away, you two?
I don't know. It's really up to your mother.
Hello? Oh, hello, Joe. No, why should I be angry? The world is just great. Well, we have company, and some old troubles could be over, and maybe there'll be a little joy around this place. I'd rather tell you when I see you. Well, sure, we had a date for tonight, didn't we? Dinner and a movie, right? You just ring the bell and I'll be ready. Oh, and Joe, don't worry about ghosts. I think they've all gone. See you. Isn't he great? Isn't he just marvelous?
Joe?
No, him. Aren't you glad I brought him here?
I'm not sure yet.
Oh, you're just an old warrior. I bet Uncle Roger would be glad.
I don't know, but we better find out. Carolyn, go ask Uncle Roger to join us in the drawing room. I don't know where he is. He's on the ground somewhere.
You're really going to bring them together?
Yes. I hope I'm not making a mistake.
Where the Action Is made its debut 1 year ago with top recording stars performing where the fun is. Come along for a real good time next here on ABC. Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.